This right here, this. I voted for Hillary. Don't mind if her husband goes to prison with Trump. Release the files, Mr. Taco. Yeah, I know Republicans do this thing where they presume that because they worship Donald Trump as their golden calf, they've made an idol out of him, right? They secretly want to be his girlfriend, or they are desperate to make him like a daddy figure, or they think that he's Jesus Christ's anointed, the right hand of God, whatever kind of weird, maladaptive, culty relationship they have with him. They think that we are the same way with our politicians, right? They think what Trump says is gospel truth, and that's why they are shook so hard right now, because it's so obvious to them that he's lying. It's so obvious to them as he is failing to deliver on his promise to them that something hinky is going on, right? When previously they uncritically, unconditionally accepted whatever he said to be factual. They wouldn't have dreamed of fact-checking what he said, but they can't deny it when it comes to the Epstein files. But they do this thing where they assume that we treat our politicians the same way, instead of not understanding the reality is that most of the time we hold our nose and vote. We don't really like our politicians all that much. Now, I know a lot of people got very excited about Kamala Harris for a number of very valid reasons. Nobody worshipped her the way that people worship Donald Trump. Someone in my comments the other day said, my dad prays to Donald Trump. Yeah. If somebody that I voted for that is supposed to be my elected representative in government has committed a crime, be it victimizing little girls or what have you, I want them to be held accountable. I don't have loyalty to the Democratic Party. If somebody committed a crime, they need to experience the consequences. There needs to be justice. But Republicans, like if it's their guy, they want to excuse him, they want to sweep it under the rug, they want you to forget about it. They elected a 34-time convicted felon, somebody who is held liable in a court of law for sexual assault. They went ahead and elected him because they don't believe in consequences for their guy. They don't want justice for their guy, but they want heavy, heavy punishment for folks on the other side. Anybody that they're targeting, they want heavy, outsized, extreme punishment. Even if they haven't committed any crimes, right? We're seeing Republicans who are like enjoying the thought, giddy at the thought of people being eaten by alligators. They are fine with human rights violations, suffering, lack of sufficient nutrition, food that is like full of cockroaches and worms and moldy being fed to people in alligator Auschwitz who have not even committed any crimes, but like pretending that they had, like, let's say, for the sake of argument, that all of the hundreds of thousands of immigrants that ICE is rounding up, even understanding that Stephen Miller directed ICE to focus on non-criminals, let's just pretend that they're all criminals. We see Republicans who are fine with cruel and unusual punishment, not understanding the Constitution that they used to say they jerked off to. They now say they are fine with cruel and unusual punishment for the other guy, but their guy, they don't want him to face any consequences whatsoever, even if it's like diddling kids, y'all. And they think that we're like that too. No, not even remotely. If Bill and Hillary Clinton hurt children, then they need to face the consequences. Whoever is on this list, I want to know so that we can get justice for the victims. And I do think that that is a theme that I keep seeing from Republicans, this fixation on the list that's never about justice for the victims. They want the list exposed because they think it's all full of Democrats. They think it's all full of powerful Democrats and Jewish people, right? We know that a lot of the focus on Epstein, a lot of these conspiracy theories about save the children, they go all the way back to like medieval conspiracy theories about Jewish people abducting children and drinking their blood, right? It's absolutely anti-Semitic in nature. I don't think there would have been as much focus, a fixation from folks on the far right, much diversion from their conspiracy theories onto Epstein's case if his last name hadn't been Epstein. But also, Donald Trump whipped up this notion that it's Bill and Hillary Clinton that are on the list. It's a bunch of wealthy Democrats. The deep state is all Democrats. That really got them going. And I saw a creator the other day, and I'm so sorry I didn't save their video, so I can't tag them here. I can't remember who it is, who said, she's like, I think I know why Republicans are so desperate for the Epstein client list to get released. Yeah, she was like, Republicans want this list because it's essentially a hit list for them. They want to use it as a hit list. They fantasize about violence. They fantasize about taking out the deep state. I mean, have we forgotten that it's only been a matter of weeks since we had an assassination of an elected official in the United States and an attempted assassination of another? An assassin with a hit list of 25 Democrats killed Melissa Hortman and her husband, assassinated her, and then attempted to assassinate John Hoffman and his wife Yvette. He shot Yvette 8 times and John 9 times. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz said that the shootings were an act of targeted political violence. It still blows my mind that we all moved right along from this story very quickly. Elected officials are being assassinated by right-wingers. And we're like, okay, that lasted in the headlines for 2 days, and now we're on to the next daily horrors that the Trump regime is rolling out. But I don't think that creator was wrong. I think that that's exactly what the militia dudes on the far right, all of the MAGA conspiracy theory folks on the far right want. They want their fantasy of taking out a bunch of, kid diddlers that are super rich Democrats who partied with Jeffrey Epstein. That's what they want. That's what they want for a list, is their fantasy of like retribution and violence. And this is something I keep coming back to because I don't really think that many MAGA folks who are so deeply invested in this conspiracy theory really care about the victims at all, y'all. It's not about the victims. It's not about getting justice for them at all. Because if it had been, they would have believed the 16 women who came forward and made credible accusations against Donald Trump for sexual assault, and some including rape, back in 2015 and 2016. If they really cared about victims, they wouldn't have tried to silence all of those women. They wouldn't have all said that their accusations were fake. I believe it was, again, a time when Trump called them a hoax. He loves that word hoax. Anytime, I think there's this pattern of anytime there's a credible accusation against him, he likes to use that word specifically, hoax. It's a little bit of a tell when he's playing poker if he uses the word hoax. But if they'd really cared about the victims, if they wanted to protect women and girls from sexual violence, they would have believed those women who came forward back then, including one of them who said that she was raped repeatedly by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein in 1994 inside Jeffrey Epstein's New York City apartment. Strangely enough, she withdrew her lawsuit in 2016 when Trump was running for president. We haven't really heard from her since. But you can go read the court documents. I can't really read them in this video because I think it will get the video taken down. It's pretty horrific what she accused him of. If y'all had cared about Jeffrey Epstein's victims back then, y'all would have listened to what she had to say, and you would have tried to call back then for an investigation when she came forward and accused Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein of raping her repeatedly when she was 13 years old. This is how we know that it's not actually about getting justice for these girls. It's really about men wanting to use women and objectify them even further as victims in order to enact their violent fantasies, especially when it aligns with their political beliefs, right? Especially if it means they can enact violence against somebody that they assume is a Democrat. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Prove me wrong, MAGA. Prove to me that you really care about justice for these girls. Prove to me that you really care about justice for girls who are trafficked all across this country, because, I consistently see folks on the right perpetuating conspiracy theory myths. Before the election, I made a lot of my content around conspiracy theories around trafficking and how they distract from the real ways that women and girls are victimized and trafficked, which is by somebody that they know, usually a boyfriend, a stepfather, sometimes a mother. It's somebody that they know who lies to them and tells them they're going to get opportunities or they're going to a party. Oh, not unlike what happened with Jeffrey Epstein. That's real trafficking. That's what it looks like. What happened to those girls with Epstein is what it really looks like. Somebody that you know who is basically setting you up to be abused by other people. It's not privileged white teenagers being snatched out of the detergent aisle at Target, or some mom and her 2 preschoolers who are being snatched from the Walmart parking lot. If you really care about victims of child trafficking, if you really care about victims, if you really care about saving the children, then I want you to put your money where your mouth is. Especially, like when it comes to Epstein, if all of those people on that list, when Ron Wyden gets the 4,000 wire transfers investigated and we find out where that money came from, who paid off Epstein, how MAGA reacts when those names come out will tell us everything we need to know about how much they care about saving the children.